After the success of the first year of Fright Nights in 1991, Universal Studios Florida would proceed to make their Halloween event an annual tradition and expand it more with each year they held it. Over the course of 4 years between 1992 and 1995, Universal would add brand new haunted houses and shows, creating new aspects of the event that would become synonymous moving forward. Still dying for a good Halloween party? Universal would ask, and they would deliver. This is SP History. In 1992, Universal would start to plan out the second year of their Halloween event. Due to the success of the first year, they were given a larger budget of $1 million and they would aim to make it better and scarier. Universal would bring back what worked with the previous year, such as the return of Dungeon of Terror, but they would make the event more relatable with pop culture references and incorporate more of the attractions with Halloween themes. But one obstacle they faced was the name of the event. Fright Nights was used previously, but due to copyright claims, it had to be changed. With that, Universal came up with one of the most iconic names for any event, Halloween Horror Nights. That name would stick and garner many guests to return that year. The event would now run for 2 more nights than the previous year and include 2 haunted mazes. One was the returning Dungeon of Terror, still located in the Jaws Q building, and they would make new additions with more terrors and mirror effects that enhance the scares inside the house. But they would feature another house that also terrorized guests with people under the stairs. Located in Soundstage 23, the house was based off the 1991 film directed by horror legend Wes Craven, would take guests through the cryptic set of the movie where the characters would prey on them. The sets used in the house were from the actual production of the motion picture, which was filmed in one of the Universal Studios Hollywood soundstages. It was the first house to be based off an IP, and we would see a trend in IP houses in the coming years of the event. But the houses were not the only main attractions, as Universal would bring 4 shows to the event, and 2 of these shows would stand out. This year would be the debut of the most excellent show on Earth. Held in the at the time Wild West stage, Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure, based off the 1989 film, starred characters Bill S. Preston and Ted Theodore Logan, also known as the Wild Stallions, traveling through their time-traveling telephone booth, meeting up with different pop culture characters like Doc Brown and Freddy Krueger. It also featured them jamming to popular music at the time with such artists like MC Hammer and Madonna. The show would receive high praise as it brought a great energy to the event that was different from the haunted mazes. Another standout show to come out of this event was Robosaurus, a 30-ton robot that would invade the streets of New York and had a mission to destroy. The robot dinosaur could be fried from its mouth and munch on cars. Both shows would become traditional elements of Halloween Horror Nights. Alongside with the houses and shows, some of the rides during the event would be horrified to fit more with the Halloween theme. Attractions such as E.T. Adventure would be named Alien Forest, where guests would try to escape a ghoulish forest to an alien world where scare actors would be around every corner. Back to the Future the Ride was another ride altered and would become Voyage into the Unknown, where guests would voyage into the fog where crazy mad scientists roamed. These added unique experiences to the rides, as you would not see them like this during normal day operation. But this would not happen again till the year 2000. Overall, the second event was a massive success and would make Halloween Horror Nights a mainstay during the park's yearly operation during the Halloween season. Halloween Horror Nights would return in 1993 for its 3rd annual run of the event. This year would once again feature returning acts and new additions with houses and shows. One house returning would be People Under the Stairs, still in Soundstage 23, and 2 new houses. One being called Slaughterhouse. Being set up in Nazarman's in the New York area, the house consisted of evil souls who tortured victims inside a blood-soaked house of dismay. The other house is a notable one, as it was based on one of the most famous horror IPs on film, Psycho. The house being titled The Psychopath Maze, it was actually located at the Bates Motel photo op in the park, and guests would venture into the maniacal motel and try to escape the grasp of the infamous killer Norman Bates. Noticeably, this would be the first year to not feature the Dungeon of Terror. Halloween Horror Nights 3 also saw the return of Bill and Ted and Robosaurus, including 5 other shows scattered around the park. Following 1993, Halloween Horror Nights would once again return for its 4th time in 1994. Once again featuring notable returns and new experiences, this event would continue to create new nightmares for guests who attended. Now being held on 7 nights in October, the event would bring back houses such as Dungeon of Terror, now located in the Earthquake queue, and the Psychopath Maze in its same location. 2 new houses would come with Hell's Kitchen and the Boneyard. Hell's Kitchen, located in Nazarman's, would feature demonic butchers who seek to get a slice of anyone who enters. The Boneyard, which was set in the Boneyard section of the park where different movie props slide for guests to view during the day, transformed into a maze where guests would enter the catacombs of a recently excavated insane asylum haunted by previous patients. The event would once again see the return of the acclaimed shows like Bill and Ted and Robosaurus, with other shows to complement them. But the main feature to come out of this year is the creation of the first ever Scare Zone. The Scare Zone would be called Horrorwood and was in the Hollywood section of the park. The zone would feature many scare actors from all roots of evil. Most notably, the Chainsaw Drill Team was featured in this zone. This idea of a scare zone would become a very important aspect of the Halloween Horror Nights, and we would see this evolve the following years with more zones and new themes, making the 4th annual Halloween Horror Nights an important year to note. Coming towards its 5th year in 1995, Universal had to find a way to continue the popularity of Halloween Horror Nights as the pressure mounted to make the event better than the previous year. With that, Universal had to come up with an idea to have a main character to promote the event through its marketing and within the park itself. That character would be the Crypt Keeper. Coming from the HBO series Tales from the Crypt Keeper would be the first official icon of Halloween Horror Nights. The event would be labeled as The Curse of the Crypt Keeper, and the duration of the event would go up to 12 nights in October. The event would feature 3 houses. First, located in the Earthquake queue, Crypt Keeper's Dungeon of Terror would be the return of the famous maze, but now hosted by the icon himself. The next house is Terror Underground Transit to Torment. Located in Nazarman's, guests would journey through the subways of New York, where underworld dwellers waited to feast. The third house would be in a new location, Soundstage 22, being named Universal House of Horrors. The house would feature many of the classic Universal monsters, with guests facing them in the flesh. We would see different iterations of this house in the future, utilizing the famous monsters of the past. The Scare Zone, Horrorwood, would return in the Hollywood section, but there would be a second Scare Zone in the event, located in Amity. Called Midway of the Bazaar, it would transform the village of Amity into a carnival of horrors as clowns and other carnies roamed the streets to terrorize guests. This Scare Zone would be seen for many more years in the future as it was highly praised. Shows at the event would see Bill and Ted return for another run, but not Robosaurus, as they would put the big metal dino to sleep for a while, and 3 other shows would be featured instead. One of the shows was Nights of Hell, which is hosted by the Crypt Keeper and would project many pyrotechnics, lasers, and a large water screen that showed horror clips over the park's lagoon. We would see this type of show evolve in the future years of the event, but Halloween Horror Nights 5, The Curse of the Crypt Keeper, would hold its promise of being better than the years previous and added new elements to the event that guests would come to love. From 1992 to 1995, Halloween Horror Nights blossomed into a great Halloween event, from changing its name, creating new mazes, and other elements that would be mainstays to the event. Looking back on these years showed that Universal used their early years to make the event better than ever and provide new experiences to guests who dared to venture into their creative nightmares. But Universal would not stop there. This was still only the beginning.